Alright, I'm back. Let's continue. I hope something will be different this time, you know? Alright. I hope it wasn't in vain. Well, anyway, today was hot. I felt like going to the beach. Completing it we all went together last year, yeah. Flashbacks? Yeps. Yeah. Okay, I'm gonna skip this just mouse because, yeah. Yeah, Yoko-chan. Okay, not with mouse, but enter. Yeah. Yeah. Oh, fun! See a bus ended there. Mickey's Wondercraft very small scan. Even so, she was bright and cheerful on the way home. As if she'd gained something through being hurt. Give me a second. Also, I forgot to set up the time. It was that kind of face. Afterward, Misada-senpai returned to school to help carry the broadcasting club's newly delivered antenna. Tomoki, who still had a broken off relationship with his sister, said something sarcastic. This scorn behavior of his mates was made fun of by Miki ever since, even into the third year at Bunjo. Yusa-chan, for the first time, opened her heart a little toward a group of other people. That's what beach meant to us. But now there is the club. Give me a sec. Fucking. So, yeah, I forgot which one. Found it. I have like billion, you know, alarms. So yeah. Even at evening. So yeah, because my sleep schedule sometimes is really weird, you know. But now there is a club. Senpai sketches. I will believe that resolving the problems on this list of tiers will produce a structure capable of dispatch. I will believe in Senpai. Believe. This is a beautiful word. It can't quench my thirst quite a bit. We can work. I continue working under the boiling sun. I'm fantastically strong against sunstroke. Because my hair is white, yeah. Just that makes a significant difference. So even on Midsummer's Day, the work continues. Without pass. Is that Kiri? Standing next to the fence gazing at the scenery again? Has she not noticed me? She should have. These works make a lot of loud noises. Hey, Kitty! I called her. Then walked over at a comfortable pace. Well, I didn't have anything in particular. Kitty glanced up at the antenna as if she had no interest in it. Yeah, I think it's different. Or maybe I'm fucking stupid. Well, yeah. Also, this heat makes me want to go to the beach. We went last year, do you remember that? That was fun. So I'm sorry about Miki. Oh, maybe not. She's too honest. Actually, she's acting weird. Yeah, what is it? Right, she's watching, yeah. Yoko-chan's watching you? Kiri's hands were shaking. Even though she was such a tough girl, she's afraid. She was shaking miserably. Her voice was shaking. I can't watch this. Even though she was a girl like a beautiful... What? A girl like beautiful glasswork. Even though she was so fragile that touching her would defile you. Yeah, I certainly remember that. And grabbing her would break her, okay? This incomplete being. What is it? I've got hatred for Yoko-chan, yeah. I'm thinking again, I thought. Times are good when I can be maintained by raising tension. And at times my heart sinks. It departs. An abyss where even the sun can't reach. A place that makes me forget the warmth of lights, turning me into an individual that does nothing but live. A place where that which is called her heart is unneeded. If I stay there too long, my frozen heart will eventually degenerate into a pure will to live. I had a hallucination that I was in existence living in the deep sea. I thought that was good, because if the world was me and only me, then I wouldn't have to hurt anyone. Kiri, help me with the club. The sudden idea made circles out of Kiri's eyes. That's right. I won't be able to finish on my own. Please help me. The kind words passed on to me from Senpai. I now shoved them onto my underclassmen. I made Kiri work on top of the step ladder so that I can't express a good version of seeing pencil and found it, yeah. Pencil is great. This kind of antenna is called an E-type. I said nothing of the sort. I whistled.
何したらいいんですか？
Aren't you helping me?
命令なんですよね。
Well, yes, it is.
借りは返し切っておきたいですし。
Okay, that's
手伝い
different.
ます。
Okay, that's different, yeah. Because she's indebted, yeah. Yay!
ただし、
Just spoke with a strong tone and strong enough tone to cut off my words and actions.
和解するつもりは全くありませんから。
That's fine. That's fine. That's yet another part of life.
指示をください。
Then first, please look at this. I pass her sketch. Her face tightened up sharply. 1 minute later, she frowned. Senpai arrived. Ah, senpai. Hello from atop the stepladder.
どうも。
Rapid fire more words. But those two are rather old. For my girl living in the second... What? 22nd century, there's not much left besides yarn and yarn.
詩人の中原中也じゃないですか。パクリですか？
She retorted with a clear-cut face. Yeah, you know him.
中原好きなんです。
Well, if you talk about learning from the past or the restoration movements, it's like asking the old to learn the new.
何のこっちゃです。
Anyway, congratulations on being discharged from the hospital.
ああ、そんな大した怪我ではないので。
Do they still hurt?
平気ですけど。
I was being stared at. I also stared at Senpai's beautiful breasts because of course you were.
どうしてアンテナを？
She asked me why you're hiding your butt with both arms. None of him.
気まぐれって。
It was him. An unsatisfied face. I, who am both sound and healthy, want to live optimistically. And then someday I shall metamorphose into a young adult who has tasted both the sweets and sours of life.
変態に？
Yeah, I remember that. She feels the embrace her bust. Senpai is nice! Right. She will follow her embrace, right. This incorrect! Kiri exhaled on the opposite side of the antenna. I'm not skipping because, you know, something could be different. And that's right. That's right. There are a lot of things I want to ask you about. I took out a sketch. I don't quite understand the note here.
終わったらこっちもお願いします。部長先輩。
I assume as far as I recall at least, from my, like, long ago playthrough, that the scene where Kiri shoots him last time, it will be different this time. I mean, yeah, he promised to Yoko, yeah, that he would leave no matter what, so yeah. This time he will actually try, right? So, yeah, as far as I recall. And what will we do about the batteries?
学校に止めてある車からと思って。
No, that's a man's job! I'll make Sakuraba do it.
でも、桜庭くんが手伝ってくれるとは限らないですし。
If I say help out, he'll help out. Probably. Since all he wants is to live an easy life.
いや、そうではなく。
I know Senpai's true intention. His love was a fight for her and her own. Even if we all do this together, Senpai's thirst won't be quenched. If it took forever, that'll be fine by her. Since she couldn't exhaustively devote herself to it. Hey, Senpai, is this really going to end when we complete the antenna and send the SOS?
一応。
It will end along with your flight. That's why this person has been working by herself, so that it won't end. They might not be responsive to the SOS right away. And there is the problem of directionality. They could be using handheld wireless devices rather than FM radios, right? So we have to think about reception.
そうですね。
It will be like a broadcast channel. Once we open the channel, we'll have to keep maintaining it until there is a reaction. It will get busy. Redness pierced Senpai's face.
そうですね。確かに。そうかも。忙しいのは いいことですよね。
Very much so. Besides, it's more fun if everyone does it. If all three of us work on it, do you think it'll end in a day?
こっち少しきついです。全然わからないですし。
If only we had a mechanically knowledgeable pretty girl.
なぜに性別して？
Then it's great timing and present spotted up to us.
キリチンいる？
The door opens and there was Mickey. Bingo!
何です？
I told you what was going on.
健全なことを。
Right. Your high-tech knowledge is needed.
PC ならともかく無線はわかんないですよ。
Aren't your grades good?
専門技術には役に立たないっす。
But you can understand difficult books.
いや。と言いますか、メンツに加えられようとしている私。
She glances at your partner.
キリチンもいるし。ごめん。謝らなくてもいいけど、驚いたな。キリチン、じゃあ、あれはどうするの？ごめん。中止？いろいろと事情があって。
That of tender girls. I mean, they're obviously talking about they plan to keep together, I guess, and not interacting with anyone, I guess. The secret that.
事情と言いますと？ごめん、その話はここではちょっと。
She doesn't want it overheard, yeah. Yeah.
じゃあ。にゃ
？She meowed.
にゃにゃか、にゃかにゃか。にゃーこ。
I'm not sure if I recall it, but okay.
猫が？
I think that I recall it, but at the same time not, you know. It would appear so. We were afraid. Well, the two was shivered in the corner, Mickey and Kiri on Nya. Is that pass?
なるほど。そんなことがありましたか。
Should come to terms with it. Is that actually conveying information? Are youngsters these days creating their own languages as well?
じゃあさ、建国しても軍隊も持たないみたいなことになっちゃうんだね。それでもう無理だと思って。軍隊ではない自衛力とかいうくくりで武器を持つとか？
That's just like a certain country. From what I could perceive, the conversation seems to have a connection with me. Can't you carry a knife too, Mickey? I think it'd be best if you got rid of that.
便利なんですけどね、あると。ナイフなんて持ってったんだ。いや！ごめん。
That is incredibly convenient. What kind of grammar does it have?
日常のありとあらゆる場面で活躍しますよ。
Well, it should be fine as long as you don't give it to Kirichin, okay?
はい、ではそのように。いやー、しかしキリチンと先輩が若いとは。世も末ですね。和解したわけでは。
Seems so.
先輩、ちとこちらに。
My head was pulled and I stepped away from the antenna to a location where our conversation wouldn't reach Kiri and Senpai. And?
大体の事情は聞きましたけど。
That cat speak is amazing.
先輩の方はそれでいいんですか？
Okay, with what? I don't really understand Mickey's question.
確かにキリチンは先輩のことちょっぴり苦手みたいで。
She hated me, just said.
まあ。
I forced a smile.
実は二人だけでみんなと離れて暮らそうって誘われていたんです。
You remember that? Okay. Huh? Why?
キリッチ、人間不信なんですよ。で、こういう無秩序な状況になったら、先輩みたいな人のそばにいるのは危険だって言うです。
Wow, Kirichino's perceptive.
だから、先輩のことをですね。
I was a hypothetical enemy?
はい。
She lowered her shoulders.
理由は聞 キリチンも言ってくれないんですけど、いつ頃からかそうなって。
Yes.
最近はちょっとノイローゼ気味っぽかったんですけど、そんなキリチンとうまくやっていけそうですか？
Mickey asked me doubtfully. Had Yoko-chan back out by promising to make things go well with Kirishin.
瀬倉先輩って先輩を傷つけると
She just appeared out of nowhere.
ヒーローみたいですね。
I know, right? That's right, my heroine.
女顔してます。
I have not once met a good fight with her. She just frightens me, throws me down and confuses me.
そんなもんすか。
At one point, I stopped wanting to meet people. I didn't want to converse with other people.
今は全然反対ですけど。
Because it's food.
はい？
Because it's something I need. The fact of the matter is, even if I hate food, I'll die if I don't eat. Kind of if you don't interact with people at all, you kind of, go mad. That's basically keeping him sane, in a way. I mean, it makes sense. There's a lot inside my heart, and the way to eat got swept up in it. I used to think that people thought badly of me because of my face. Mine in particular kept bugging me.
目？
I get the feeling that my eyes are different from others. Well, I also get the feeling that my face was built differently.
小綺麗ですよ。いわゆるハンサムではないですが。
Everyone tells me that.
それが先輩の心の傷ってやつですか。
This is something like an extra on top of extras, to be honest. Hey now, I demonstrated myself. Anyway, the deal is, in order for Yoko-chan to stay away, Kiri has to stay powerless.
話飛びーの。
Which is why I'll be borrowing Kirichin.
いじめないでやってくださいね。いじりがいはあると思いますが。
I'll take the proper measures.
なら私も付き合います。
Like this. Miki was added to our group. No one's here. I have a feeling I haven't seen Toko here for a few days. I know you don't like it, but would you try coming to the club tomorrow? I heard a solid rock. I had been planning to say that if Toko was here. If we're going to enjoy our youth, we should all do it together. Diary writing will be worthwhile today. By the way, diary writing isn't a grammatical mistake. Since diary is a noun, I scratched my head as I wove together such things as that I could cover with my pocket with. How my pocket with, Taichi for learn from. Taichi made this mistake when he thought that knowledge covers the self... What? Knowledge covers the self-like picture frame. Okay, translation note, one of the kanji for picture frame also means forehead. Okay? If possible, I'd like everyone to gather on Sunday. I can't record Sunday in the diary, but I want to see that scene at least once. The reset just might be a very scary phenomenon. Identical to this. That's why, at least, I'll try inviting you. I headed for the post office. I stormed the post office. I robbed it out of 30 postcards. On the way home, I passed in front of the Koban defiantly. Since I felt like it, I also stormed the Koban. It's the first time I've been in one. Oh, so this is inside of a Koban. I wonder if there are any handguns. There were handcuffs. There was nothing else of value. Not good. I don't have time to be doing this. I headed home. I wrote a postcard. Now then, all grounds. It was a busy night. Now then. This was before noon. The air temperature isn't that high yet. I went to the roof of one. I looked up at the steel tower, the basin, the antenna. It certainly isn't a job for only one person. Since we mature, the antenna looked rather distorted. Its form was like a monster of violence and directionality. Now, I got to work. Damn, I don't get this. Kurosotaichi is slightly unfamiliar with the conveniences of modern life.
何してんのさ
The monkey, yeah. Oh, I figured if I did this, then she'd say, Peki-kun, you're amazing, or I'm so moved, or I'm getting wet and kiss me or something. Yeah, Tomoki-sensei.
部中はないだろう
Right.
部活か
Should I skip? I'm not sure. I'm gonna save this. I copied the save, so it is no issue. Yep. Tomoki lazily sat down on the ground. Oh, thanks. Can juice. So it wasn't all that cold.
太一はどうしてそんな熱心なん？
No, serious, yes, favorite question.
わけわかめだよ。
His favorite question. That joke was hilarious.
おいおい、お前自分でこんなものよこしておいてはぐらかすなよ。
Tomoki pulled out a postcard. You say I brought it to myself, but it was someone else's hands that mailed it.
どうして部活なん？
Can I ask something too? He's a serious face. It has to do with you and your nest, son. Are you okay with that?
おう。
It's a serious question.
オッケー。何？
Yeah. I pushed out my question a little stiffly. Why do you, a person from Kanto, sometimes use nan and for what? And so yan for that's true, like part of some pseudo-Kansai dialect?
最高に姉貴と関係ない質問だよ。帰る。
Whoa, hold up, a minute, Rome wasn't built in a day.
気を抜いてくれてありがとう、太一くん。
Yep, making stations always takes the scenic route. In other words, think about it. Doesn't have an objective what? Objective goal, maybe. Give a person something to live for.
生きがいね。けど、生きる糧があるならそういうのもいいけどさ。
That's why I was enamored with this.
こういうのって？
Use grove graffiti. What way do you think this he
いや、
asked?
お茶じゃないから。
Tomoki stood up and circled the antenna.
それで、
Sorry. I don't know if anything will change, so I'm not sure about anything anymore.
それで、それだけで？
It's nice to have something to
あ
do.
るじゃん。別に物資探すとかさ。
At the very least, this club has hope.
絶望を確認することしかできないかもよ。
There is hope that we can confirm despair.
わかんないよ、太一の考え。
Is that so?
どうしてそんな楽しそうなんだ？ほんと、信じられないね。
Tomoki wiped his eyes with his
僕
arms.
にわかるのは、このアンテナとモービル用機材の決戦だけだ。
Then help out!
なんだよ。もうちょっとそれっぽく感動とかしろよ。
Idiot, I'm crying on the inside, my tears are even bitter.
そうは見えない。
It's time for two guys to get dumped with each other's tears, so go do that with your nation.
ひで
Now if you made the decisions and hurry up and work. The planning broadcast today is tomorrow.
ー。へいへい。じゃあ、機材調達してくる。太一、
Tomoki's feet stopped in front of the door. Huh?
てっきり姉貴と仲直りしろとか言うのかなって思ってた。姉貴を手伝えよ、弟だろって。
Oh no, sibling rivalry is a part of healthy life. I wasn't stop it. The point being, I was telling you to help me out. I stuck out my chest.
お前、大物。
I'm the world of adaptation coefficient over 80.
そのオーバーロードとも、これからも普通に友達してやるよ。そういうの嫌いじゃないから。
He disappeared inside the school building as if running away. Because I don't dislike it. When Tomoki said that for a moment, his face was as red as the limits of humanity would allow. Don't say it if you're going to get embarrassed, seriously. I looked up at the antenna, but this should get it progressing a bit. Enjoyable parts of a club. It could become a precious memory. Though it won't be a memory that remains. I thought of leaving behind in the diaries that possibility existed.
おはようございます。
Could you go to the club room and bring me your pair of gloves?
いきなり使われる私。
She disappeared into the building.
おはようです。
Please massage my shoulders.
はい。もみもみ。
Look while having one's shoulders massaged.
あまり凝ってませんね。
It's a mental thing.
もみもみ。で、どうして私が肩もみを。
She noticed. It just happened.
来ました。
Give me a morning kiss.
そんなこと強要したらダメです。
Right. Yeah, I'm not gonna. Yeah, okay. A heavy attack that looks right. Yeah.
軍手、取ってき きました。
There will be a scene where he runs around with...
寝てる。人を使っておいて自分は寝ている。ズボンおろしの件に処します。
Okay, let's save it and let's skip.
言ってること。
Translate, okay. Right. Yeah.
ちょっと嘘でしょ。
Ah, so... yeah. Yeah, okay. Uh-huh. Right. 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 Right.
悪いけどオチは読め。
俺たちの
Right. I remember that, okay. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
そういや。
Mm-hmm. Okay. Okay, I remember that. The second year classroom. She's not here. Seriously, what happened to Toko? Did she not see the postcard? Is there just a machine might not check the mail herself? Also, nowadays, no one would think that any mail was coming. I'll go see how she's doing later. So, the first year classroom. All the rooms are arranged and decorated in the same way, but I might bump into them. The flowers weren't there. I'll try looking in the other classrooms. Not here. Not this one either. Even the book scenes looks similar. Next one. Even the location of the erasers was the same. Don't call this some kind of mathematical identity. But it is a coincidence. That's true. Anyway, Nazamiki no Kiri is here. They seriously ran away? What should I eat? I would in Kiri's suit. Today is it's rice balls. There were seasonings on them, so they appeared quite delicious. Time to eat. Munch munch.
なぜ私の席で。
Welcome back!
そこ。私の席。
That's true. Wanna sit here?
席が。
I see, sorry. I borrowed another chair and sat down again. On the opposite side of your desk. Eat! This is double portion.
ミキが調達してくるので。
Would you mind if you helped yourself to this? She extended her hand. Alright! A successful breakthrough, yeah! In many ways! Well, Kiri has been losing her nerve lately. Don't touch anything that could serve as a blade or any other weapon.
はい。死にたくはないですから。
Yep, yep! Yakuchan is wrong, and she does what she says.
あの人はどうしてあんな石投げがうまいんですか。おかしいですよ、絶対。
For the most part, she's good at everything. What she can do is fundamentally different. Whatever she does, she gets the hang of it in an instant.
特殊な訓練を受けてるとか。
She used to. She had some kind of long vacation where she went to some foreign country and hired a military instructor on the spot.
軍事
She was lost for words. Maybe she learned these things then. She might have even learned it from a real shepherd. Does it still hurt?
どうってことは。
She's piled up a lot. I'm sure she's done many other things too. It feels like she uses most of her life as self-training. I talk like I'm a martial artist too, but I'm no match for her.
格闘なんてやってたんですか。
It was good of you to ask. It's called karate.
知りません。
Huh?
空手のパクリですか。
Spin-off, right? No, it isn't, you brat! Sorry, I should have gotten mad. Kiri had ran free with his way and taken up a battle stance. Come back over here, I'm not going to eat you. She came back doubtfully. No, eat. I am actually kind and gentle. Being told karate is a spin-off karate made me lose it. She doesn't say it, but she can probably use firearms too. As for martial arts, if you got into a grapple, I think you'd be killed in an instant. She knows a lot of moves and she bought a really expensive knife recently.
そんな、いくらなんでも殺すなんて。
Aren't you trying to kill me? Well, it doesn't bother me.
先輩は平気なんですか？私、あなたのこと憎んでいます。命を助けられて何もできなくなった以上、こういう状況は仕方ありません。でも、あなたのことは変わらず嫌いです。
Yep.
そこは勘違いしないでください。
I won't. I think that's just fine.
でも、一緒にご飯食べて、慣れ合ってしまっては。
I just want to watch from nearby.
近くで、何を？
Kirichin? I smiled.
からかって。
You're right. She blushed a little. A precious gem is not something to be touched and loved. It is something to be watched and enjoyed.
先輩には確かにそんな部分があると思います。気に食わないです。そんなに女の子で遊びたいんだったら、長谷倉先輩とそうしていればいいじゃないですか。私たちはあなたのための娯楽道具じゃないんです。
No good. She only has herself. She's running away. She's always has been. It really irritates me. Kiri threw a look at me like she's seen something unexpected.
私には先輩方の関係が理解できません。
Well, don't let it bother you so much. The history between me and Yoko-chan, not one of those memories of ours, can be called fun. A store of amusements, she's useless. Not one of those memories of ours can be called fun. She's got her hands full with this.
というと？
I thought. But no adequate exposition was constructed. There is no need to explain this to Kirichin since she sees the right through me to start with. Yeah, it'd also be best to stay near me if you can. I think it will be fine since I said it pretty strongly, but there is a possibility she will do something to Kirichin when my eyes are elsewhere. She might try to chop off your head without me finding out. Kiri held her neck.
首ちょんぱ。
She was shaking. To preserve your own life, you have to stay near me. Let's just leave it at that.
もちろんそうですけど。
It's not a reconciliation so much as a truce, right? And so, let's keep up the friendly fighting. I held out my left hand. Reluctantly, Kiri held out her left hand, but didn't shake mine. She got angry and pulled it back.
バカにしてます。
Please stop getting mad at every single joke. I held out my right hand and gripped Kiri's right hand. A small, slender hand. It's definitely not suited for weapons. After crossing the dangerous bridge called Yoko-chan, it feels as if our relationship has improved a little. Then let's have a party celebration, the successful truce mediation.
調達完了。あれ？
Good luck.
なぜ一緒してますか？
I invited you.
怖いお人だ。敵さえも味方に。
Yeah, it's pretty scary, I guess. Because yeah, it's like it's not like you get along with everyone, but you get away with everything, you know? It's kind of, yeah. This is your thanks for free visits. Translated note: Chinese and Japanese idiom referring to the various stories in which a well-to-do person pays free visits to the home of a less fortunate person, often one of their subordinates.
違う。あ、なんか食べてる。この大量の食料はどうするの？
Mickey poured out the contents of her tote bag on the desk. It formed mountains spilled off the edges of the desk. Spilling off the edges of the desks. Oh! Aren't these all sweets?
缶詰とかはなくなっちった。
Having sweets for lunch? That seems harsh.
そうですか？
It's bad for your health.
でもミキはお菓子が大好き。私ももうお腹いっぱいだから。
So am I.
じゃあ一人で食べますもん。
She took offense.
とるよ。とってもお菓子大好き。
She started eating some potato chips. Doesn't it bother you on the inside?
だって泣かないでよ。
Come on, I'll give you this rice bowl. Its size is intended for an adult male, so for Kiri Chinen should be just about right. It wasn't really enough for me, but whatever.
手料理だ。
She clung to the sleeve of the hand holding the rice bowl. Do you want it? I held it up high.
欲しいです。
Here now. To the right. Uri. To the left.
いじめだ。
Yep. Here now.
おいしい。
She started biting into it, leaving the mountain of seeds. Those are unsettling eating habits for a girl. Is it always like this?
缶詰とかパンとかです。
Eat vegetables.
ありません。
Here, tomatoes. I've got two of them.
トマトだ。
Do you want one?
欲しいっす。
Here now. To the right. Right. Uri. To the left.
やっぱりこの人はいじめっ子だ。
Huh? What? Huh? What? Excuse you?
酸っぱい。
Ah, because he gave them tomatoes, I see.
でも美味しい。涙出そう。生きてるっていいね。にゃほー。
Don't know about that. What eating habits does this two have? Watching Mickey's and Kitty's mouths turn into star shape? I don't recall how it's called. As they ate the tomatoes, I quenched my throat with a water bottle. Fucking Yoko. The faces she makes is fucking hilarious, you know? Good dude, Yoko. She's watching this, watch it! I'm being sad at! She's all jealous. Showing herself to me as if I'm doing something to bother her. Must be an intentional hint. As a Kunoichi, she's supposed to have a high degree of secrecy. She's not something I'd be able to find.
どうしましたっす？
We've been watched with the Ichihara style intelligence gathering.
市原？
Espionage techniques passed down through an incredibly skilled group led by Etsuko Ichinara. Research notes this might be a reference to Ichika Etsuko, who plays the lead role in the Asian drama Kaseifu Wamita or I Saw a Maid. I see. Uh-huh. Apparently Kiri saw you too.
先輩。
It's okay, I'm right next to you.
はい。あれ？
Kiri pointed. Mickey said what and looked. Yoko-chan was gone.
何もないけど、どうしたの？今確かに先輩？
The Shimura phenomenon. Mickey can no longer physically observe Yoko-chan. Shimura phenomenon touches physics, a kind of observation problem found within stable specific situations. That which someone can and cannot see is fixed as a personal attribute. Those attributes are often destroyed due to a major change within the situation. Ah, she's watching! Kiri was stressed half to death. I held her shoulders reflexively. The corners of Yoko-chan's eyes shook. This is something obviously rare! Kiri was getting nervous and not noticing how familiar I was acting around her. Like I can't even in the corner. Your shoulders feel delicate. Can you not? I find you adorable, but at the same time I have the desire to destroy you. Those two feelings exist simultaneously. I let go of you. Kyochin, be careful.
というと
Even if you don't get injured, there is a possibility she'll do disagreeable things to you.
嫌がらせ具体的にはどうなんです
I think it'd be quite insidious. Yeah. Stealing your dignity, humiliating you as much as possible while still passing it as off a joke. Passing it off as a joke.
あなたと一緒じゃないですか
Ah!
やっぱり信頼できない
Can you return to Mickey's side? Ah, my lovers will start by homosexuality. Damn you! I'll try hitting Mickey.
はい
Nothing. I'll leave the club to everyone else. And go pick up Toko. And she's dead, yeah. Let's go by car. I gathered keys from the staff room and search for a car that at least 1 would fit. Ah! Wait, safe? Fuck. Yeah. I can skip that. Uh-huh. Uh-huh. Wait, what? Ah, yeah.
降りて
Okay. Entered. So the armor in one corner, as if it was natural. Maybe it was natural, but with all the windows kept closed, it was completely dark in here. No matter how good my night vision is, I can't ascertain anything in my field of vision. I wandered around the mansion. It was like a maze. Let's Toko's room. Maybe the second floor. I climbed the stairs. It felt like zombies would start coming out of this mansion. Toko! No answer. My voice was stuck in the luxurious carpet. I confirmed each of the rooms one by one. This is pain. I should have had Yoko-chan come with me. Then when I opened one of the counter's doors, quiet party. Yeah. Yeah. Alright, I left the car behind. And approached the restrooms, okay. I naturally entered the girl's bathroom, yeah. I looked in the mirror. My own face was reflecting within it. White hair. Eyes with a peculiar nature. A hook nose that makes one wonder who I was. In my eyes, in my own eyes, that's how I looked. There were people who said I had good features. That I had a girl's face. Well, that might be true. That's why I become that way after all. My opinion is different. That face had some perceptible heterogeneity that made it frightening. It was covered in a sir. I'm gonna fucking write things down, okay? Where's my super dictionary? Where's the fuck my pen? Seal? Why? Did I drop it somewhere? Come on! This is not fair. Where's my pencil? God damn it. Give me a moment. I guess it's just gone. Oh, anyway. So, I have 4 pencils now. At least one of them should work, I guess. Did I write it down earlier? I could have, you know. No, apparently not. So... Okay. Oh. It can write. That's good. Hetero. I know what hetero means and that stuff, but Geneti, I also understand what it means, yeah, but I don't know how to pronounce this correctly. So I'm gonna write it down just in case. Adiposer or something. Right. I couldn't think of it as a human. In those faces. Hans Belmer's spherically jointed those. They have a certain beauty, but they also have something unsettling within them. They contain darkness. That's the reason why they're liked by those who prefer the darkness. And now I was once again drawing near to the same darkness. But I'm fine being normal. Within their own long histories, what sort of ethics do humans try to build up? Bright, unblemished health? Is that a mistaken? Once the darkness is condensed enough to push inside, that which is born from eternal darkness, at the end of the day, I'm not sure if it could call be a person. I envy people with solid black hair. I envy them so much I can stand it. I once thought of dyeing it, but hair grows fast. White immediately infiltrated from the roots. As I saw grey through the black, I became self-conscious of it. Everything is no more than decoration. As if I right now, I'm truly an ornament. A slightly off-putting face, I felt like vomiting. I must see it that way because of my self-hatred. This is bad state of mind. I was feeling far too good about Toko's case. I'm loyal in decadence and corruption. I mustn't sink too far. Yeah, okay, same. I'm gonna skip. Yeah. Yoko?
ごめんなさい。
It's the same. Right.
だって、
Yeah.
反対太一、少し汗臭かった。
Yeah, it's the same.
あれ、クロス、肉親でもと理解も大地
Getting too deep, right?
それだけで動いているなら確かに大地は壊れた。そう昔大小100人の大地自分大地彼女たちもた大地自身がそう
Yeah, it's the same.
今のあなたが固有の時間を生きて今固有だ個別まの
Yeah, it's the same.
でもど
Alright. Surprise, Mickey was there. It looks like Tamoki and Sakuraba haven't returned yet. Mickey?
桐原先輩はどうでした？
Yeah, it's the same. Maybe I should skip even more until the scene. Maybe that's the right decision. Let's try yours. I remember that, yeah. Yeah. Okay. Okay, usual defense was like okay. I guess that's the turning point. Supposed to be, right? I mean, logically speaking, yeah. Because if not, then I'm kind of... Yeah, I'm not sure about anything anymore. For now, I spoke up. Kirichin. What do I want to do? I don't know. An apology? More distraction? I don't know. I was disgusted with myself for not knowing. Kiri turned around and
あ
said,
なたは薄汚い人殺しです。
I was lost for words. Those genuinely things said by the classman. Well, your anger is reasonable? Right?
怒り？そんな簡単な感情じゃない。あなたは敵です。あなたは
A quiet voice, quiet features, a quiet disclosure.
豊かを殺した。
Unbelievable. Why would you think that?
私は知ってます。あなたがあの日、屋上で豊かと話していたこと。
She knew. Kiri knew. That day? This can't be. At once my heart froze over.
豊かが死んだ日です。ずっと疑ってた。けど、わからなかった。だからあなたには関わりたくなかった。けど、あなたから関わってきた。
There was conviction in Kiri's eyes. They were no longer smoldering but burning down, making an aggressive color residing in her pupils. Wait a minute, isn't that strange? If I'd killed Yutaka, do you think I'd start talking to you?
話しかけないと思います。普通は。
It's true, I'm not normal, but...
私たちはあなたの獲物でしかない。あなたは上を満たしただけ。人間の普通なんてどうだっていいんです。あなたはそういうものなんです。人間の心を食べる怪物なんです。
She says whatever she wants. You know, Yutaka and I were friends. I had no reason to kill him.
動機なんて不要です。上に理由なんてない。
I scratched my head. Well then, now would I have to go out of my way to pray on Yutaka? Well, let's say I'm a monster and I do make prayer out of others. Don't you get the feeling girls would be better than boys?
フライドチキンの性別が気になりますか？
She says that and then this.
少なくともあなたが私を見る目はそうでした。
This is because, you know, well, since he's a guy, a lot of things would swell up.
あれは違う。
Do you have experience?
ありませんよ。けど異質なものくらいはわかります。
That's right, this girl. She was perceptive. Could you call it power to see through malice? Overly sharp in sight. If you look at me with those eyes, I'll agree that the word is anger. So she chipped away at the benefit of the doubt with the circumstantial evidence and intuition.
ずっと疑っていた。でもこの数日、私はあなたに気を許した。それが悔しい。でも、それであなたの正体がわかりました。
He lowered her hand outside the window.
あなたは
She pulled up a bundle of clothes. She'd hung it from the bottom of the window frame. She took off the clothes and...
薄汚い人殺しです。
The second one, in other words, that was Miki's. The composition of me having been slightly lured in.
動かないでください。
As a man saying this is embarrassing, but... Yakushan's going to be mad.
いいんです。あなたさえ排除できれば。私の次は誰ですか？部長先輩？桐原先輩？それともミキ？
I don't make prayer to anyone. As long as I can nobly maintain myself. Also, people desire people. If you interact with someone using yourself as a pretext, it's over. Don't you have to put some distance between you and them before that happens? Because the world is unkind, even though Kiri should understand that. This contradiction. Do you understand it, Kiri?
信じる義理はありませんよね。
Traded her weapon. At this distance, she'll probably hit me. I was within the distance of the tree Kiri had practiced on. She wasn't liable to miss. Kiri, if you kill me, you're going to die too.
構わないです。
She smiled.
だって、どっちにしろ世界はもう終わりなんですから。
Even though none of the people you hate are here?
いなければいいというものじゃないです。正しくあってほしかっただけです。あなたにも。
To your murderous intent, his crystal eyes became designed surrounding the small Kiri and eyed her. If I die, so will Kiri. She prepared for that, just like Toko. I was thinking that it was all good. On the other hand, I also want people. I want memories. I want to record them. I want to carve them into my heart. If I can't just have memories, if I can't just have that brilliant precious gem, I might really be a monster that lives by feeding on people's feelings.
死ぬ前に言い残すことはありますか？
Okay, there is a difference supposed to be, right? Though pitiful shaking Kiri's hands more informed me that she's scared of killing a person. A heart strained with all its might. To burst that balloon of doubt and rationality, a little stimulus to the fights. Just the tip of a needle. There is a way to survive, but there is also the thought I will go ahead and die. Hesitation. Right, I see. So I guess there's supposed to be another choice, right? With like... with Senpai and like Toko, right? So what, did I do the wrong one? Not sure. I guess we will learn that later. Don't accept it, obviously. Impossible. There's no way I can accept this. It's true that I hate myself. I hate everything about myself. I despise my own hideousness and the depths of my desires. Self-hatred that's above the hatred Kiri holds. But if I was going to commit suicide, I would have done it by now. I'll leave. If I don't, then what was I fighting for? I had to leave, even if it meant breaking Kiri. I have one question. The one who saw me and Yutaka on the roof, was it you?
ええ、そうです。当時は何とも思わなかった。けど、今はわかります。トイレでしたみたい。豊か追い込んだ。自分を満たすために。
How would I do that?
豊かの足のことを責めたり。いろいろです。具体的に聞きたいとは思いません。もういいですか？
Your hand remained shaking. It was as if she'd lose herself before killing me. Would one last thing be okay? It might be a bit of a long story though.
どうぞ。
What did she think on the inside? Kiri has spoken flatly, as if to prevent me from feeling the answer. May I sit?
どうぞ。
Will you sit too, Kiri? Ignore. No, there. I started talking. A long time ago, there was a family called the Asekuras. They had a big house, a Western-style mansion. I think it was at least 10 times as big as Kirihara's. They were huge millionaires. My mother died when I was young, and I got picked up by them. I lived and worked there, for a husband and wife, who were distant relatives of my mother. It was a house of old customs. The children of servants were also servants. Since I was a child, my role was something like playing with the children of the house. Yoko-chan was the youngest daughter. She was always alone. I hope it won't suddenly, become a nation later on, She didn't try to interact with anyone, family or servants. Oh, I guess you... I called her that inside my mind. I'd never exchanged words with her. But it's been bugging me. I didn't know what sort of people maintained the mansion, or what particulars brought it to this state of being. But that place was like a paradise separated from the flow of time. The people who lived here were all outside the norm. At times, I was beckoned by her and was treated to sweet drinks. Clothes and accessories, enjoying tea, beckoning people, taking a stroll. Every month a large number of academic books, clothes and luxury items came to her. Of his garden. There were people called gardeners. Even considering that the land was cheap and remote, it was expensive. I think it's wrote different, you know? Pam, yeah, E, you know? Okay, but... To me, that mansion was none other than bound with wealth. Actually, I have no memories from before the mansion period. The wealth in the mansion was the same size. At some point, it seems the ladies took a liking to me. But me having a face like a girl, and because of my white hair, and the mysterious pattern drawn in my eyes, one could see from up close, I didn't bother. I was made to wear a dress, a particularly gaudy one, like that a girl would wear, and then the tea parties. A child couldn't discern the flavor of tea, but I played along. Against people as sweet as sugar snacks, there was no choice but to obey, and I didn't dislike it. Like that, I was separated from my business of being a toy who was ridden and had his hair pulled by the young children, and I entered the new business of working as a doll. She, a girl still, looked at me with a different gaze. No, she did not even look at me. She seemed uninterested, as her gaze always passed me by. Sakura Yoko, the youngest daughter. There was no sign of her being adored by her family. In fact, she was being neglected. She certainly had been living in a different world from the ladies who resided in fantasies. In the world called reality. Once there was a time when I was chased out by the house cleaning laborers. That was before I was introduced to being a doll. I participated in the servants' duties. Perhaps because it was a policy not to use anyone outside the mansion, they used many borrowed hands. When the tea breaks, every hour from 10 to 3, I cleaned all the rooms in order. By evening, I reached her room. I heard her voice for the first time.
ここはいいわ。
Short and blunt. Functional. But it wasn't changed. I glanced inside her room, but I couldn't really think of it as hers. A number of personal computers, all four walls covered up by bookshelves, and so many academic books that many of them were piled up on the floor. Have a workbench and used tools. Miscellaneous knowledge and skills completely buried that large private room, making me associated with a secret base. It's true that those with unique heterogeneity live in different worlds. There was a time when I asked about Sakura Yoko while wearing a beautiful wardrobe and speaking like a girl at a tea party. A quiet old lady answered that she's the daughter of the youngest son. A young and cheerful lady answered that she was an anointed daughter. The three clamorous sisters twittered the whole story of the secret love between one of the young husbands and another young servant. The burden of a daughter who did not know love and grew attached to no one, and her likely tragic conclusion. Though she was Hazakura Wild, she is not one of the Hazakuras they lamented the stain. The point being that she was a taboo child. There was no one who spoke to her, and she never spoke to anyone. She was a blemish. It seems that her real father, that young household person, had left to study abroad. Her mother, the servant, was dead. A girl who can't become anyone, sorry. A girl who isn't desired by anyone. She's hurt. No, she isn't hurt. Sakura Yoko was strong. She didn't take it to its heart. I think she probably had noticed. The world was a miniature garden. During my life as doll, I passed through the library. I might have been influenced by her. I had learned about etiquette and tea from the ladies. However, wisdom and skill and truth were not there. To make up for that, I went to the library that you used. I often met Yoko-chan there. As before, no conversation. Since it had somehow become a habit, I never approached her. I had thought that she was agreeable, but I didn't wish to become friends with her. It seems that my aesthetic inclination was established around this time. How should I say it? I was captivated by things which were independent. Captivated by things which live independently and by strengths. Whether it's knowledge or skill, there is that side of things. People gather. They belong together, and at the same time, they try to preserve a sanctuary. They desire an encroached place just for them. Unencroached, right? Unencroached. Sorry. Time, but I'm gonna continue for a little. However, contacting people makes the boundary line waver. Territorial lessens and increases displeasure. Contradiction. From the general sense of values alone, heroes refer to 1,000 stately troops. So, absolutely entity. A hero. Absolute entity. What people wish for is nothing more than a wish in the form of admiration. They want to live alone or in the crowd. But I digress. In the library I read the books she read, because I admired her, but perhaps I was envious of how perfect she was. The contents of the books were too high level, so I didn't understand much, but I continued reading. Hundreds of not meetings, but passings by in the library. I continued to coexist in that space without one conversation. The period continued for a few years. Then, that which brought a breakdown to paradise. Because this was humanity's first paradise, it was sort of unavoidable providence. As an avoidable providence. Breakdown. Concretely speaking, it was the radical decline of the Miss Hasekura who owned the mansion. It was the beginning of the tragedy. The graceful Hasekuras all disappeared. The servants were left behind. In Hasekura's place entered the newly rich upstarts and his relatives by blood and marriage. They were wild people. Young and old, men and women all came together. Each one held the nature of rotten crumb meat. Within 3 days, one of the servants was assaulted. It became an incident. But this was a miniature garden, a closed space. It produced its own odor. Being enclosed in an extensive mansion, grounds was close to being extraterritorial. A sort of banquets took place on those days. There was one room of the mansion that had been used as a hall for evening parties. The Hasekura people loved small parties, so it was used a lot. The white people held different evening parties here, without elegant conversation or fine quality cooking. Instead, they were filled with depravity and decadence. I'm sure there were many victims. For instance, there was a young servant and his wife. The wife was gang raped. No, she was continually gang raped. Thanks! Her body was filled with holes through many and varied means, and she was made to obey. The husband resisted. He tried to save his wife by contacting the police. The police did not come to intervene. They probably felt it'd be too much trouble. They probably weren't bribed or anything. I tried looking up this mansion on the internet. There were innumerable crimes like this overlooked by the police. When a private citizen's awareness of their own rights enlarged, it was no longer possible to simply say, "Hey, stop!" and intervene. There were an increasing number of people who would scream bloody murder over trivial mistakes, so it's best not to move. Although it's negligent, as an organization of incompetent people, I think this was their limit. Although sincerity is needed to save oneself, there are only one's own capabilities. When I thought that, I could control my temper. As long as they don't cause any real damage, I could control my temper despite other people's bungling and shallow judgment. It became such that I was entrusting a part of my heart to other people. But that's normal. Being normal is to leave your person within unjust and incomplete rules, the result of people's limits. It was not meant to be a gentle corridor. And in this closed space, normal logic grew hazy. It's easier for one's daily life to change into wild scenes. To stand and face that, one needs a firm ego. One needs an unwavering system for oneself. Like yours. Now then, the wife was made into a plaything, made pregnant, and made to get an abortion. Many ways by which the man could be pleased were bitter in her body. She stopped smiling. She stopped participating in the servant's duties. She was prohibited from wearing clothing, and she obeyed. She was engraved with tattoos. I've seen tattoos. They pointed to her genitalia, showing that her husband no longer possessed her. The white people were competent in that aspect, yeah. Her heart gradually sank. Her husband employed his latest ditch method. He ran away with his wife. They were brought back in 3 days. The husband was killed. Next to his wife being engraved. Wow. His corpse was buried in the garden. The man buried him at the foot of a sakura tree while roaring with laughter. Well, they were a group with broken logic. It's really strange, yeah, why would they even bury him? Considering they don't give a damn. Yeah, kind of, At some point, one of the men brought his family here. The introduction of the new characters. He was a pedophile. Well, that was... wow, well, that escalated quickly. He was equipped with the two settings of fancy sadist. Since he was a sadist, I called him as. Right. I called as size. Oh. I was once again forced into girls' clothes and made to participate in the evening parties. This time not for tea, but for S's desires. S also liked being done by others. I, who was like a young girl, was made the partner of this man. The better half of those who did it half as a joke. Even so often, one of them would awaken. Every so often. Whatever mean things were done at the evening parties, they made a point of standing out. Something not unlike elementary school bullying took place there. This is a group, this sort of thing had a relatively high probability of occurring. Well, that's what you call a demerit. Demerit, yeah. All things are sure to have merits and demerits. He surpassed one-sided good and evil. Eventually, as sadism escalated. He brought another child as a son. He'd been a bully in his school. Sink. He looked at me, and for a moment I was pressured by an atmosphere of promiscuity that he scoffed at me. Because of abnormal excitement? As well as demanded of him, so though in fact of his own violation he participated. He soon began to show a talent that could make one's blood run cold. It must have been partly because of his precociously thorough knowledge. He soon became mad. Yeah. Everyone laughed at me. Weeks passed as I was laughed at. I continued receiving the attacks. That son was Yutaka. Wow, I forgot about that! Holy shit! Kiri wasn't able to react, same! You can't stop shaking. She'd calm down. No, that wasn't it. She was looking at me with shocked expression. She didn't notice the arrowhead was no longer pointing at me. You might have figured out this out already, but S was also the initial for Shinkawa. Half smiling, she seems unable to even control her emotions. Even though he was also a child, he knew those things. I thought he could never have a decent life. I thought he'd end up as a pervert or a drug addict. Actually, your voice? It's the truth! His hands once again began to shake. That is true, and Yutaka did do such things. He was the most enthusiastic. She smiled. Well, he was a kid, so it must have been painful to rape an adult woman. That part of a woman would be a big shock to... Your voice burst open. Memory loss. Kiri shut her mouth. She felt like a detective now. The mysteries are revealed, Kiri-chan. Also, I know why his legs got hurt. Because I was there when it happens. What do you mean? I hadn't thought Yukata had lived through that. I'd even forgotten the name Yutaka. Meeting him was a coincidence. Since I was made to cross-dress, it looks like he didn't know either. But Yutaka lived through it. Well, a lot happened, and I was released. And for complicated reasons, I came here. If you think about it, it's perfectly natural. Neither my heart nor Yutaka's should have broken from that. I wonder if we met by necessity.
信じられない。
I realized who Yutaka was after I became closer to him.
だから、殺した。
Well, I can't fool you anymore. I wanted to spit it out anyway. It's not like I immediately wanted to kill him. It's all in the past after all.
だったら、
Our conversation started to fall in the reverse direction. Her swelling of emotions dashed waves against me, damaging me and turning me backwards. Kiri, you were the one who came to attack me. I thought I'd overlook it if he was suffering. But when he was hanging out with me, he seemed happy.
あの日、私に質問した。幸せかって。
Good memory. That's right, that's what I meant. Now once again I threw the same question at her. Hey, Kiri. Was Yutaka happy? An ordinary question, but the meaning was exactly the opposite.
辛い思いをしてきたんです。親族に邪険にされて、荒れて。
Always? Are you sure? There wasn't even a moment of happiness?
それは、
There were, weren't there? Kiri didn't answer, she looked downward. She pointed her weapon downward too. Her animosity and murderous intent had wizards at the right flower. Her inner body filled with the toxin known as doubt. That's right, isn't it? If we could cleanly forget stuff that happened a long time ago, our hearts would be quickly clean. We could become as happy as we wanted. That's why I made him remember.
やめて。
Kiri tried to cover her ears. Listen! I stopped her hands. It was a sunny day. Just as you saw, I told him everything on the roof at this time. Then he said, What can I do? What can I do? No, what can I do to be forgiven? There is no forgiving. The sins he committed remain for eternity. I can't even touch them, much less change them, and I didn't feel like reproaching him for them. I had just one question, and I asked him, Hey, I have a question for you. Why won't you go die already? That's what I said. When I did that, he really went and killed himself. Kiri broke and fell. She sat down immobile. A pitiful smile was carved on my face. In any event, there is only one truth. Just one last push will break you. Even though I knew that, I whispered in her ear to run her through with true blades. Your Nissan was horrible, a filthy rapist. To Aang. I knew a thread had been cut inside Kiri. Definitely won't be tied back together. 5 minutes of silent time followed by. Kiri didn't cry. Alright, let's actually take a break here. Since, you know, kind of the point is sort of over. So yeah, see you in a few minutes.